On episode 213 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, I share 11 weight loss biohacks. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/213. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. On this episode, I am going to be sharing some weight loss biohacks, but if you're really serious about losing weight, then I would encourage you to check out Surefire Results for Weight Loss. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/surefire. It's a 28-day program, very simple lifestyle changes that will have you losing weight. Surefire Results for Weight Loss at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/surefire. Today we're going to talk about weight loss biohacks. And I think before we really get into biohacks, it's probably worth me taking a moment to define that term for you and what it really means to me. You know, it's in the health and fitness community. They're the folks that are, I would call, kind of the traditionalists. They're going to be those of us that are preaching, eat well, sleep well, reduce your stress, and move more. And that's been the traditional message that I hope and I think that you've been getting from this podcast. Or, there are different ways to explore your health and fitness, but for the most part, you need to be focused on those four core elements of your life. And if you've got those four down, then maybe it makes sense for you to do these biohacks or try some of these biohacks. Because in the grand scheme of things, I look at it like this. The big four are going to be, they're going to be the needle movers. They're going to be the ones that take you from 50% to 85%. They're going to get you that big movement, that movement that you see in the mirror, that movement that you see on the scale. That's just, the big movement. Biohacks are going to get you the little one percenters. And so if you're down at 50%, you're not sleeping well and you're not managing your stress, then doing a little biohack that gives you a 1% incremental move on where you are is really just, you're not even going to sense it. It's going to be such a small little bit that it's not really going to matter. So before you do any of these biohacks or consider these biohacks, really focus in on the four cores. And I'll go over those again. It is the food you eat. What kind of food and how much you eat. It is the movements that you have, what you're lifting, what you're moving, and how you're moving, and all of those things. It is how you sleep, not just the length of time that you sleep, but the quality of that sleep. And then finally, how you're handling your stress. We're all going to be stressed, but it's how we react to that stress that's really going to define how that stress affects our bodies and our health. So get those top four going for you first, and then you can look to these biohacks as a way of tweaking and getting a little bit more out of what you've done. So I am going to go into them, and I think they're interesting, probably something that you've been interested in or heard something about. So I want to start a dialogue about them because we do have some folks listening to the program that are at that level of saying, I want to kind of go to that next level, and how do I do that? So here's some of them. The first one is cold. And what this basically is this is submersing your body in cold water or taking a cold shower. And it is something that will basically help boost your metabolism. It reduces inflammation. It does a lot of other good things for your body. It's very hard. It's not something that you're just going to say, I'm going to go do 30-minute ice bath and then I'm going to be good. It's something you have to work on. It might be that you get in the shower and you turn the shower on cold at the end of your shower and you sit under that cold shower for 30 seconds if you can stand it. And then you build up to a point where maybe you're taking ice baths and maybe even tweak it up to a point where you're doing infrared sauna and then you're alternating it with the cold water. Any way you choose to do the cold is going to help you lose some body fat. It is going to help reduce inflammation. And generally, it does have some pretty good health effects. But again, it's that 1%. If you're not doing the others, then it's a little too early to be worried about cold. Number 2 is high-intensity interval training. Now, high-intensity interval training is basically a training level where you're pushing yourself to your near maximum potential for a short period of time, and then you're backing off for a rest period. And you do these in cycles of typically no more than 8 to 10. And so you'd go for maybe 30 seconds, hard, rest for a minute or a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, depending on your recovery time. And you're going to do this on and on over cycles for a workout. What this does by raising your heart rate up above this maximum or up really high and then allowing you to recover is creating a metabolic boost because it's really hitting your metabolism hard. And so it's raising your metabolism for a long period of time after the exercise. So while you're doing the exercise, you might not be burning a ton of calories per se, but over the course of time afterwards, because you've raised your oxygen consumption for a longer period of time after, you're going to notice effects relatively quickly. HIIT is really good for building endurance. It's really good for picking up your metabolism. And so it is an exercise that I use with even my intermediate clients. And so it is something that you can incorporate. But I would encourage you to do it carefully, do it slowly, ease in. You have to make sure during those recovery periods that you are fully recovered, because if you keep pushing your body, you will wreck it. And then the other thing is you want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of recovery time between HIIT workouts. So a HIIT workout is something that you would do maybe once a week. And, once you're an elite athlete, you're really doing things well, you could probably do it twice a week, but it's not something that I would do more than twice a week, even if you're well trained. And someone who is not well trained, someone who's just getting into HIIT, once a week is plenty, okay? And you can do HIIT training on an elliptical machine. You can do it by sprinting. You can do it by other movement patterns like burpees or bodyweight squats or anything that's going to get your heart rate up really, really quickly and require a lot of movement from you. You can do a HIIT training session with. It's most popular done with sprints and probably the easiest done because the least amount of equipment or worry. You run a sprint for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then you're going to have a rest period that's roughly about 3 to 4 times the time that you are working hard. You don't want to work hard longer than 30 seconds because then you start shifting into a different energy mode and your recovery is not going to be as efficient. So you want to go ahead and push up to that top. When you're doing HIIT training, again, because we're pushing and then we're letting go, you may want to wear a heart rate monitor, particularly early on, so that you're learning what these exertion levels are really like with your heart rate. And then you can kind of, after a while, you'll get more comfortable. You may not need the heart rate monitor as much because you can kind of sense where you are. But until you get there, it's a good tool to have. Okay, number 3 is fasting. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. Once I had kind of gotten down to a certain weight goal, I was trying to lose some weight, as you know. And once I'd gotten down, I kind of plateaued and I said, okay, well, I'm going to try intermittent fasting. And the intermittent fasting was easier for me at the time because I was eating low carb, but it was not what I would call easy. Intermittent fasting, there's 2 basic styles that are very popular. One is what we call a 16-8, which is where you'll go 16 hours without eating. For me, what that looked like was I would go to bed. So I'd have my last meal around 8 o'clock at night, and then I would go to bed that night, and when I woke up in the morning, I would not eat breakfast. And I would go until roughly sometimes noon or 2 o'clock before I would eat my lunch. And I would have a nice sized lunch, and I may eat something during the middle between lunch and dinner, and then I'll have a nice sized dinner. So the interesting thing of this was when you're doing the intermittent fasting, you're not necessarily eating less food. I think people get this misnomer of saying because you're only eating once a day, you eat a lot less food. That's not how it works. The way it works is it basically allows your body to heal and do some things while you're recovering. So while you're not eating. And so that's, and your body is in fat burning mode for a longer period of time than it would have been otherwise. And so that's really where the benefit of it is. Now, the other type of fast that I didn't talk about is where you do a 2 and 5. And that's where basically you'll over the course of 5 days, you'll take 2 days and fast. So it's 2 days, and then you're eating regularly the other 5 days. And by fast, most people that are doing these, they're not pure fasts typically until they get really fat adapted. They tend to be very low calorie days, and then they just eat normally on the days that they would be eating. So I'm not as big a fan of the 5-2 version. I think the 16-8 is a really good deal. It gives you an eating window. It frees you up. It really is a freeing experience when you're not hungry during the day. And if something happens and you can't get lunch, you're not freaking out because you're not having the blood sugar crashes. You've trained your body to get comfortable with this lifestyle. And I would go on these fasts like this, where I'd be doing the eating windows for periods of weeks. Some people just do it here and there, but I was able to do it for weeks with little or no trouble. And the next one I'm going to talk about, and I talk about this on the program quite a bit, is called ketosis. So I'm not going to go into too much detail into it other than your body has two energy systems. We can feed on sugar or we can feed on fat. And some of the fat that we can feed on is the fat that we've stored on our body. So if you can get your body into ketosis, which is where your blood ketone levels are 0.5 millimolars or higher, you don't want to get them over 4, but in that range of 0.5 to 3.5 is a really good range. It tells you that your blood has ketones in it. A brain can use those ketones for energy. And since your brain actually burns about 20% of the total energy outlay for your whole body, that's a pretty good fuel system for it. It's going to help you manage your body fat and lose weight. If you're in ketosis, most people going into ketosis begin losing weight pretty quickly and pretty easily. Number 5 is hormone management. If you're at that age as a woman where you're starting to see a dip in estrogen, you're premenopausal or going into menopause or in menopause, you're going to notice that your body's going to want to start storing fat, and it's going to start storing fat in ways that it didn't before. So you're going to look and feel a little bit different. For men, it's the lowering of the testosterone, and as our testosterone lowers, we start getting it's not a dominance of estrogen, it's just the ratio of testosterone to estrogen is causing our body to begin to change and store fat in different ways. We get moobs and stuff like that. Anyway, managing those hormones through your diet, through exercise, and if necessary, through supplementation with your doctor's care, are ways that you can help prevent getting body fat. And in many cases, if you get your hormone levels balanced, you may notice a reduction in body weight. So that is another consideration as you're looking at your health and looking at your wellness, is to consider how you can keep your hormone levels balanced and managed. Okay, number 6 is something as simple as a treadmill desk. I don't have one of these yet. It's on my to-do list. I will get one soon, I'm sure. These little treadmill desks are, you can either get the one that has a whole desk attached to it, or you can just buy the little walking treadmill that you put under your desk. And with these, you're basically walking at a very, very slow pace. And after a while, your body acclimates to you being able to do your normal work at a standing desk while you're walking on this treadmill. The advantage of that is over the course of a day, you'd be surprised at even just 1 mile an hour, how far you're walking, where you would normally be sitting. So obviously your activity level is going to be significantly higher. Additionally, because you're in a standing position, you're using more of your musculature and you're forcing your body to maintain the core, to maintain your balance as you're doing your work and you're walking. All of these little bitty things are things that are going to make you look and feel better. And sometimes just those little things like that, the looking and feeling a little better at the end of the day, when you go home, it's going to give you a little spark to say, I'm not going to eat that dessert at dinner because I don't want to waste what I did today. I feel really good about it. So, just a small treadmill desk is an investment that would do you very, very well if you have the ability to use one in your workplace. Number 7 is warm lemon water. And there's a lot of people that swear by this in the morning. It's a habit I really want to start to kind of develop over time. Again, these are biohack things that I can add. They're not going to move the needle huge, but it's a little bitty thing that from what I'm reading is that the warm lemon water is going to kind of get my juices flowing in the morning in a way that's better than caffeine, and it's going to get my digestive tract working. It's going to get my metabolism moving. So it's all just kind of a big way to get my body burning a little bit more energy in the morning, feeling a little bit more energetic in the morning, and probably losing a little bit of weight. Okay. Number 8, and I do this occasionally, is the apple cider vinegar. It's not something you can drink. You mix it with water and drink it that way, but just realize it's very harsh. But apple cider vinegar has a really good effect on lowering overall blood sugar. And so if you were to take about a tablespoon, mix it with water before bed each night, what you're probably going to find is your resting glucose level in the morning when you get up, your fasted glucose level it should be lower than it was before. So even a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before bed each night is going to have a good effect on your overall blood sugar. And if it's blunting the insulin response, it's going to help your body be in a better fat burning mode in the morning. So that's just one other consideration to look at. And is it going to be huge? I don't think so, but it is just kind of one of those other things that you can add to your war chest. Number 9 is to practice elimination diets. Okay, some of the weight that you're carrying is not body fat. It's inflammation. It's water. And if you eliminate a food that your body is having difficulty with, and it may be wheat, it may be milk, it might be nuts, it might be nightshades, it might be eggs. These are all foods that certain individuals have difficulty with, and it might be lentils. So if you find foods and eliminate those foods from your diet, you're going to notice almost an immediate weight loss. So if you're a little bloated, not feeling well, think about the things you've been eating and consider eliminating some of those foods that I just mentioned from your diet and see how you feel. After you've eliminated all of those things from a diet and you go a period of a few weeks and you start feeling better, then you can start adding them back one by one. So you add back in the nightshades. How do you feel? Okay, a week later, you add back in the nuts. How do you feel? And then you add back in the milk and you realize, oh, wow, I feel horrible. It was the milk. Okay, you can take the milk out, see how you feel, and then maybe try to add in the grains and the gluten. And you say, okay, well, I feel fine on grains and gluten. It was the milk. That's elimination. That's how the process works. And it's a good way to kind of get rid of some of that inflammation and a little bit of body weight if you're starting to notice that there's a little bit of bloat, a little that you're uncomfortable with. Okay. Number 10 is to manage your water. Water does have a weight to it. And if you're concerned about what you weigh, then you want to manage your water. That said, it does not mean don't drink water. You do need to stay hydrated. But let's just say, for example, there's a contest at work and they're having a weight loss competition. You can manage using sodium, potassium, and water, much like a bodybuilder would. You can manage the amount of water that is in your system on the day you go in for your weigh-in. And so doing a little bit of research to say, okay, how do I build up my water stores and then I flush it out for the weigh-in so that I'm not weighing that water. There are techniques for that. That's beyond the scope of what I want to do for this podcast. But I just wanted to let you know that if you're solely focused on weight, water is one component of that weight. And if it's a weight loss competition that you've entered, because the one they're having at our office is crazy. It's teams of 5. Each person's paying in $70. The top team of all the corporate teams that are in this win like $10,000. And it runs for like 3 months. So it's a pretty drastic deal. I'm interested to see how the teams are faring as they go. But, the top teams are going to make some bank. So this might be a tip if they're listening. Hey, flush some water out on the last couple of days. Learn how to do that properly. And you could drop another 2 to 5 pounds on the day of weigh-in. Okay, and then number 11 is my favorite. It kind of ties in with the treadmill disc. It's just long, slow distance. And part of the reason that I like long, slow distance is that it's actually a stress-reducing exercise. If you can get outside and take a long, slow walk in nature, that's going to do so much to address stress, which is actually one of the big 4 that we talked about. But it's also going to help keep your metabolism going. It's going to keep you in fat-burning mode. So having a good long walk in the morning in a fasted state, particularly if you're doing this in conjunction with your intermittent fasting and keeping your sugars and everything else low, this is going to give you that opportunity to really maximize that fat burning window because you've gone through a period of fasting overnight and now your body is primed, operate on fat, and then you put an activity in front of it that's not going to burn the glycogen in the muscles so much, and it's not going to stress your body. So you're basically going to be able to utilize fat through that entire workout. And it's not really even a workout. It's a nice, relaxing walk in nature. So I'll recap these 11. Number 1 is cold. Using thermogenesis as a way of sparking up your metabolism and getting your inflammation down. Number 2 is HIIT training. We talked briefly about how to do HIIT training. I have had some other podcast episodes about HIIT training that you can go check out. It's a very good way to get your metabolism up, get a workout in really quickly, and really push yourself to the next level. Number 3 is fasting. Predominantly, I talked about intermittent fasting. There are extended fasts and water fasts and a lot of other things. I'm not a big proponent of the extended fast unless you're going through a special circumstance or treatment with a doctor. But intermittent fasting is perfectly safe. And it's something that anyone and everyone can do with little or no trouble. It takes a little practice and then you're on. And it will do a lot to help you lose a little bit of extra weight. Number 4 is ketosis. And particularly ketosis in conjunction with intermittent fasting are great tools to help you lose weight and lose it effectively. And because you know that your body's in a fat-burning mode because it's in ketosis, you know that you are losing body fat when you're losing this weight. Number 5 is hormone management, whether it be estrogen or testosterone, making sure that you're maintaining good levels, working with your doctor, working with your exercise and your diet to maximize your hormone balances are going to help you keep the weight off and lose weight. Number 6 is treadmill desk. It's an investment. They're not cheap, but a good treadmill desk, having you walk at 1 to 2 miles per hour, you can still get your work done and you get your miles in. It's a win-win, and your body's going to thank you for it. And number 7 is warm lemon water, particularly in the morning, as a way to kind of jumpstart your metabolism, get your digestive tract going, get your day going. It's a good way to start. At night, using apple cider vinegar as a way to blunt blood sugar responses. And when you wake up in the morning with a lower blood sugar, then you should have lower insulin. If you're not going through something major with insulin resistance, you should have lower insulin response. And as a result, you're in a much better fat-burning mode when you wake up. Number 9 is to do an elimination diet, where you eliminate foods that are typically causing inflammation and problems for folks, and then you slowly reintroduce some of those foods to figure out which foods your body might be having an adverse reaction to. The reduction in inflammation, the reduction in all of that is going to mean some weight loss. So elimination diets are a good way to drop a little bit of weight, find out what foods are bothering you at that time, and then be able to eliminate them permanently so that you don't have the effects going forward. Number 10 is to manage your water. Making sure you stay hydrated is good. But if you're just looking at weight, and again, this is not a health thing, this is literally just a biohack if you want to weigh less, is for you to figure out the exact way that bodybuilders and prize fighters and all that will, flush out water the day before an event. They go in and weigh in, and then they're able to rehydrate afterwards. But it is a way to drop a couple pounds pretty quickly. There's the diuretics on the market and whatnot. I'm not going to say I'm emphasizing any of those. This is not a biohack that I would do. But if you're in a competition for weight loss and weight loss is all you care about, then you want to lose some water as well. And then number 11 is my favorite, the long, slow distance. And particularly if you can get out in nature, so there's the stress relieving aspects of it, as well as just being out in nature is all going to be a good thing. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to help you have more energy, and it is going to burn a few calories without really taxing your body. And it's going to do it in a way that allows those calories to come predominantly from fat and not from the sugar in your liver and muscles. So that recaps our 11 weight loss biohacks. Are you enjoying 40 Plus Fitness? If so, I'd love for you to do me a favor. Would you go to iTunes or your podcast listening app of choice and do a rating and review for the show? It really does tell me what you're interested in, what you like about the show, and if there's things that I need to do to make the show even better. So I appreciate every rating and review. I read every single one of them. And if you would just take just a couple of minutes today and please go out and do a rating and review of this show, I'd really appreciate it. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Leonard Zen and discuss the book Haywire Heart. Until then, have a happy and healthy day.